From Yukon, Oklahoma, home of the Pride of Yukon Marching Band. Welcome to the Band Dads Podcast. I love band! Woo, band, woo!
Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Flynn, and I'm here with
Scott Lang.
And we are the Band Dads. Here to bring you a podcast about something that we care very dearly about, which is music education and band.
Some of you are here because you want to learn about all things band. Some of you are here because you want to see a train wreck. And the answer is yes to both of those. We don't care why you're here. We're going to answer all the questions. We're going to say the things you're thinking. We're going to debunk all the myths.
Yep. This is the Band Dads Podcast.
The podcast by and for confused band parents.
Nice. You said the tagline.
Christmas stuff's rolling off the supply chain in May. Yeah. And that's what marching band is now. It wasn't that way when I taught. You picked your show in May from a Jensen album, which is now Hal Leonard.
Gotcha.
Whatever your only choice was whatever they wrote and released on a vinyl album.
Gotcha.
So everyone played the same 12 tunes.
Gotcha. Interesting.
It was bad.
Interesting. Funny enough, I think I'd have to try and pull it out, but I think I'm still holding on to it because I bought it because I thought it would be a fun relic. But we talked about how I have a physical collection of music.
Yep.
And vinyls. Right?
And CDs, you said.
So one of the things I thought was interesting one day when I stumbled across a Goodwill, because I'll go to Goodwill and I'll look for used music because it's a great place to source used music sometimes.
How do you
especially
find the
CDs.
time to do all this?
I don't know.
You have 5 kids, a full-time job as a
data analyst. I did think about it for a second.
We've worked into every other episode.
I'm like, am I still a data analyst at this point?
You may get a job offer. Should we just post your resume and your CV on the Band Dad Podcast website?
I guess I'm not against that. One day when I was in Goodwill, I came across a vinyl that was, it's like a vinyl pressing of like a McClintock High School concert from the late 60s.
I was going to say from the late 60s. When I taught at Tempe High, we had one from the late 60s as well.
Yeah, I think it was the late 60s. So I was like, this seems like a really cool piece of history. Maybe one day I'll like make my way over to McClintock and see if they want it because I thought it was just a cool part of their band program. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting thing was I found a vinyl of a local high school's concert from the late 60s in a Goodwill. So I grabbed it because I was like, I don't want to leave this here. I feel like this could serve a better purpose than
when I get nostalgic, I watch a kid put together 10 years of marching band YouTube videos. And when I get nostalgic, I watch it. And when I hear things too often that I don't like, my ears of 56-year-old Scott don't like about the 32-year-old
things happening in the performance.
Yeah. And I like to go, well, we didn't have as good a mics back then. That was it must be the recording equipment. Gotcha. It can't possibly be my teaching that had those trumpets play with that tone. It's the mics were too close and they weren't omnidirectional.
I see. You know what? So I try and help you sometimes and maybe give you things that are of current age. So like whether it be music artists or whatever. So Leifei. So what you just did was you consumed some copium. You ever heard that used before? Copium?
No, because I'm chopped.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, chopped people can consume copium too.
What's copium?
Copium is just like, it's kind of a funny way to put like a name to coping. You're coping, right? Now your coping mechanism is to justify that these microphones weren't well or whatever it may be. Copium is like a way to make it sound like a consumable, like you're consuming copium.
Okay, that's a word I can use.
There you go.
Copium.
So like if you hear somebody talking to themselves to justify something that they're basically making excuses for to justify it, they're consuming copium.
So when we go back and listen to the original broadcast 5 years from now of the Band Dad Podcast,
there's going to be so much copium. It's going to be crazy. Absolutely. So episode 8, Scott Lang. We are here with episode 8. To start the episode, because sometimes we do goofy things, I actually want to be sincere to start the episode, and I really want to give a shout out to the Mighty Muskie Marching Band. We haven't had a chance to thank them in an episode yet, but that introduction that they did for us to recognize their community, which has been incredibly supportive to the Band Dads Podcast. Again, just a shout out to that awesome marching band.
That may have been the best part of that episode.
Yeah,
we weren't involved in it.
Episode 6 is my favorite episode. That wasn't necessarily why, but
episode 7 was mine.
Was the icing on the cake. So again, shout out to that group and that community for just being awesome to our podcast.
Their director, Jeff Hyde. Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Yes, Jeff is an awesome dude. And again, we invite people. We have some more coming. That's the good news is we've talked to some other people who are involved in different schools across the country. We have some more of those introductions coming, which we're very, very, very excited for. There may even be a new school that intro this episode, as a matter of fact. But anyway, if you're interested in doing that, please let us know. feedback@banddadspodcast.com. We'd love to connect with you. We'd love to work your schools into our introduction and have them do that greeting for us, because to me, it's very sincere. It's an easy way to give back and just give recognition to all the fantastic communities and all the hard work that's going on out there in band land, as they would say. So episode 8, though, this is it. Are we done? We're done. This is the last one. We said 8.
We've made that clear. We're having too much fun, and apparently we're not the only ones. So again, if you haven't listened to episode 7, we are committed to season 2, which we now believe is going to be a 10-part series stretching from band camp all the way to Christmas, where we'll then maybe commit to season 3, believe it or not. But we've got some incredibly fun stuff planned for it. But we're going to save that for episode 9, in which we tease some of the special things we're doing in season 2. But for now, he's
Chris Flynn.
And I'm Scott Lang, and we're the
Band Dads.
So, Chris.
Yep, Scott.
What if I told you something? Would you be surprised if I said music is the most useless curriculum in the school system today?
It would seem to be not productive for the podcast that we're recording right now.
Is that going to kill it?
I was trying to think of a nice way to say it.
No, go ahead and say music is without question the most useless curriculum in the school system today.
So why are we here?
That's a good question.
Why are we
Let's
here?
just end it now.
What's the point? Why?
Okay, here's my point.
Yes.
Okay. You go to a math class and you learn math, correct?
Yes.
Do you use that math after math class?
Some of it.
Okay.
That's being generous.
Well,
let's be honest.
Well, some of us use more math than
my
others.
kids are like in pre-calc, and I'm like, never going to use that.
I don't know why we needed to involve the alphabet in math. Okay, your kids go to English class, correct?
Yes.
Do they use English outside that class?
Again, seems questionable sometimes. I don't know half of what they say, but yes, I believe that's valuable to them. Yes.
Well, maybe you're just copium with that.
The copium with that. All right, you're getting there. You got to. Just like you didn't know Riz was an adverb, we'll work you into it a little bit, but good try.
Tragically outdated. Okay,
you're trying.
Your kids, did any of them take a PE class or a foreign language class?
Yes.
And did they ever use those physical sports skills or any part of that language outside of class?
Again, I don't know, 50-50? Are you trying to get me to buy into that?
But they're using it, right?
Okay.
When is your daughter, who's a leader and in the jazz band and is in more band classes, when is she going to march pages 57 through 94 ever again? That ended November 14th.
I see what you're saying.
When is she ever going to play Holding Out for a Hero or Pinball Wizard again after November 14th?
If she does, it'll be in like a weird dark corner where she's reminiscing about her high school days.
Never.
A coffee shop somewhere.
I don't remember when I marched when I was in high school.
No?
I have no idea. No, I can't remember a single thing. I don't remember any of the music I played except for one piece, and it's called The Horse, and it's really quite bad. And old directors will know what it is. That the curriculum, what we teach the kids, and a kid's not gonna, when they're 32, go, I've got to go get Pampers and mark and march down
so
Safeway.
not in that way.
And
not in that way. You're right.
They're not going to go dress, baby, dress. Band, baby, front. Like, that'd be child abuse, wouldn't it?
I don't know what you just did. I don't understand what just happened.
When they do dress, center, dress.
I don't know what's going on.
Okay. Yeah. Speaking of tragically out of touch.
Okay. I'm the one. Yeah.
Are they ever, we talked about the last episode, are they ever going to wear their Vipers again? God, I hope
Probably not.
Not if they want to have friends.
Probably not.
The point is the curriculum of music.
Yeah.
In and of itself is absolutely useless after November 15th.
Just to play devil's advocate, is the way that you just presented it, is that really still the way that it is now? Because technology is different. So their recordings of their performances still exist somewhere in the digital atmosphere.
They can enjoy the recording of it, but they don't use the skill.
Okay.
That's like saying, well, I learned I learned some math concepts, so I really enjoyed the Russell Crowe movie, The Beautiful Mind. Well, no, that's not using the math skills.
Okay.
That's enjoying the math skills. You can say, I enjoy fashion, but you don't wear what you wore in high school.
I guess I more mean that if you don't have a way to replay it, recollect it, re-engage in it, it falls out of your head. I guess what I'm saying is I wonder if there's an opportunity for it to be a little bit different because they do have the ability to revisit it. You're talking
about nostalgia. I'm talking about the skill set.
No, I know what I'm saying is that nostalgia may lead to like the spark of something that says, hey, I remember when we did that. And anyway, it's probably a stretch. I'm just
pages 47 through 54. Will she ever march it again?
No.
The music of Press Start. Will she ever play it again?
I don't believe she will. No.
it's useless curriculum.
Yeah. Okay.
Now,
Okay.
that doesn't mean it's a useless activity.
Okay.
But I want to talk about the fact that for parents, we're treating this like this is the last episode you're going to hear of the year. It's going to be mid-May by the time you actually get this, and you're probably already in nostalgia mode.
Okay, that's fair.
I know I am, but you're also looking forward to next year. So you've got one foot in the grave and one foot out the door. Make sense?
Yes.
So I want to revisit this year in nostalgia mode.
Okay.
As a parent.
Okay.
I don't want to revisit as a kid.
Are we gonna close the loop so people don't actually feel like what their kid did all year was useless? Are we gonna tie those? Are we gonna tie that up somehow?
Well, you would hope so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would.
I've got about 32 minutes to figure out how.
I'm a little concerned right now. Yes, I'm a little concerned right now. Anyway.
When Chris is concerned, I'm feeling good about myself.
Oh boy.
Okay, so let's go back to band camp. You're gonna make some sort of sound effect here that means we're time traveling backwards to band camp.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay,
sure. I'll give you some fun there.
And here's my point: the value proposition I'm going to build for band is outside the curricula.
Okay.
But I want to start with the factor that the curricula is merely a vehicle to the real learning lessons. Now, understanding
that makes sense.
That's not the case in English. That's not the case in math.
Actual curricula is what's important in the subject.
Correct.
Okay.
The way I like to phrase it is the curricula is the pickup truck, but the payload it's carrying is building better kids.
I see.
And the payload's what's important, not the vehicle we use. But in school, it's the vehicle, the actual learning that we treat, with such importance. That's not the case in Marching Band. So let's flashback. You can make that sound.
Okay.
That counter
You want the flashback sound. All right. Insert flashback sound here.
Okay. If you learn a concept in math and you master it, you nail it, you've shown mastery, you've demonstrated mastery, you've demonstrated fluency, you don't go back and revisit that concept. Fair point, right?
No.
Okay. When you've learned a skill set, be it physical, emotional, cognitive, or mental, and you've demonstrated that you have that self-awareness to regulate or to recognize and pivot, you don't revisit that skill set, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Your daughter, this was her second year in Marching Band, correct?
Correct.
Did she learn basics again?
Yes, I assume so.
Hasn't she already shown mastery? Did she learn a horn up again? Did she learn long tones again?
I would assume yes.
Yeah, because it's literally the only curricula I know of in which we treat every child like they're a brand new member beginning again every year.
Okay.
English 1, when you graduate, you go to English 2.
Yeah.
Science 1, when you graduate, you go to biology, and so on and so forth. So Spanish 1, you go to Spanish 2. In band, you go back to the basics.
Okay, so and again, maybe give a little bit of context as to why. Only because again, band parents are not in band camp with their kids, right? Generally,
that's a good point.
Generally, they're just seeing let's say our school does a parent night barbecue where they come out and they see a rehearsal of the first stage of the show, right? That's really probably the first time that they see anything that is a result of the outcome of the week or 10 days or whatever it is they spent at band camp. And then throughout the season, same thing. They basically see when the kids come out on the field, what they're producing at that point, unless they're working behind the scenes in the pit, whatever. So help us understand then why, if we're saying the word useless, that's not a good way to sell people on this activity.
The curricula is useless. I didn't say the activity. Help. Sure, it does, because if you're a parent, that's the point I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get the parents to break away from the concept of band as a curricula. Band is not a curricula. Band is a culture. And we talked about that, if you remember, common set of accepted practices, values, and beliefs by a given group of people in the time and place.
And I will insert the gong noise.
Because it was my number 9.
So I'll insert that.
The reason we do that, and I think it's important, it's number 1 is because we're breaking everything down. You're breaking it down. In other words, whatever you came into this activity with, whatever knowledge, whatever skill set, whether you march drum corps, whether you're an all-state player, whether you're physically gifted, an upperclassman, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because we all start together from the beginning, because it's the only activity in which all of us score equally.
Okay.
Okay. But the second thing that we're doing when we're doing that is I want you to use your daughter as an example.
Sure.
So your daughter put in for and got selected as?
She is section leader.
That's correct.
For in her junior year coming up, yes.
So are basics going to look different when she has to teach it?
Oh, yes, for sure.
And are basics going to look different when she's a soloist?
Yes, for sure.
So that's the cool part of this activity. And I believe it's what keeps bringing kids back is that you're going to learn. They say to teach something in the teaching profession. They say to teach something is to learn twice.
Yeah.
You learn it first, and then when you teach it, you learn it a second time.
Yeah.
That your daughter, and I think your daughter's a perfect a perfect person to utilize for this. Your daughter started as a freshman, knew nothing.
Yes.
And then she knew something. And then she developed mastery. And then she started private lessons. And then where, by the way, she learned the same concepts that she learned in her band class from a different person.
Okay.
Where then she's going to be tasked with maybe being in a jazz band and learning the idiom in a different way. It's still same B flat, still same. Then she's going to be tasked with being not a rookie. And then next year she's going to be tasked with teaching younger people that while the concept is the same, the learning for each member escalates every single year.
Okay.
And so
that makes sense.
You come back to it because you're learning again. So the reason we do band camp the way we do is, number one, everyone's valued the same.
Yeah.
If you're a freshman marcher, your point score is the same as a senior marcher, and all state are the same as a beginner, a soloist the same as a non-soloist.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So in order to get them to understand that, you have to start with everyone at the same level.
Okay.
And so everyone starts at the very fundamentals.
So not to be mean, but is it the old lowest common denominator idiom? Is it we have to be there because we got to start it? Like we know there are kids who can't do any better than this, so we have to at least start here.
No, it's role modeling. Because you never say to the seniors, hey guys, look at the freshmen, let's march like that. You look at the seniors and the freshmen say, hey, freshmen, look at the seniors and march like that. Hey, followers, look at the leaders and run like that.
Okay.
Hey, beginners, look at the all-state players and make them sound like that. That's to me like the most fundamentally life-altering thing about this activity is that we take the lowest common denominator and hold them accountable to the highest common denominator standards.
Okay.
I don't know of any other activity that does that. Now, again, we've talked, I love sports, but if you're lowest common denominator, you don't start or you're cut. You're not even on the team.
That's fair.
We take everybody, and then we take the highest common denominator and say, everyone, that is the standard, but we're all going to start at the lowest common denominator.
Okay.
So when you think about band camp, I want you to think about this now. You're thinking about it from the perspective of an activity, but I want to, as we said we're going to do, I want you to go back as a parent.
Okay.
What has your daughter learned differently in those camps? And what do you think she's going to experience differently as a junior and a section leader with the exact same fundamentals, the same warm-ups, the same techniques? Do you think she's learning something different?
I guess at the end of the day, probably not.
Really?
I guess to your point, maybe you're just convincing me in what you're telling me right now.
Will she learn empathy by working with someone who's not talented? So will she learn patience by working with someone who's not skilled?
Sorry, again, so you've got me hung up on the curriculum part. I guess that's where you've got me hung up. Right.
And if I failed, parents, I fail. That was my point in pointing out at the beginning. Is I want you to disassociate from the curriculum because that's not the important part of band.
Sorry,
it is for English. It is for math. It is for science.
Okay.
I want you to disassociate yourself from the curriculum.
Okay, you've now clarified what you've asked of me. So maybe, again, and if I missed it, that's my bad. Now I understand better what you're asking of me. So yes, well, in short, I would say it starts with, to your point, it starts with the peers in her section themselves, right? Because these are the people that she's got to be around, work with every day to come up with some sort of cooperative outcome. But it is different people every year. And those different people have very different personalities, right? So trying to learn how to navigate. And I think that was a challenge last year. Was the first year she was so kind of, I guess, locked into this group of people, and she was the freshman. So to your point, maybe it was just a matter of her looking up to those upperclassmen who were setting a standard, right? Now as a sophomore, not that she's an upperclassman, but she's been through a whole year of the process. She basically has an expectation, right?
She's been through 2 years of it.
Well, sorry, what I mean is beginning her second year. So beginning sophomore year this year. She had 1 year under her belt that she went through the process, went through the experience with a particular group of people that set an expectation, right? So now when she started year two, this past band camp last summer, she's got different people, different personalities now incoming. She's got an expectation. These people don't necessarily have that expectation. They don't meet it yet. So now it's the navigation of, do I look down on this, or like, do I help them raise it? Like, how do I now navigate this relationship with these people? Because I have to count on them in the same way they have to count on me. So it's kind of, I think it's conflict almost of, how does she handle being mature enough to try and work through that relationship at the same time, not be frustrated by the fact that I know this now. This is where we're supposed to be, but you guys aren't here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so the next year, add to that, she's now not going to be navigating it. She's going to be responsible for it.
Correct.
And so it's the same left foot. It's the same horns up.
Yeah.
It's the same B flat, but she's learned 3 different lessons from that activity.
Yeah.
And so when, parents, as we kind of take a nostalgic look backward, I want you to look at this activity now through the lens that we're talking about. Disassociate it from the concerts, disassociate it from the playing and the marching and the curriculum. I want you to associate now the lessons learned as time passes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
So then going back, would you say that band camp was a very different experience, even though it was the same curricula, same lessons?
I would say absolutely. It was
Okay.
Yes.
So let's forward on to the season, the actual marching season.
Okay.
Now, this is my first year, so I can't reflect back over 2 years.
Gotcha.
And you can.
Yes.
Now, 2 years ago, they were incredibly competitively successful. They were in a little bit of a different circuit. They went to Hawaii and traveled, and saw amazing things.
Right.
Now, this year, they're in the open class, and it was the hottest summer on record, and it was just brutal.
Yeah.
Same activity, same competitions.
Yeah.
What were the different lessons learned? Not better or worse, but different than year 1 than year 2.
So again, I'll tell you my perspective, and I think new parents maybe can relate to this a little bit more, because I've talked about multiple times as well, how I didn't even really click into the activity myself until kind of late the first year, right? So meaning I wasn't really involved or that invested, I think, in the full journey her freshman year. I kind of caught on late, right? So I very much had, I think, stars in my eyes, really, a lot of the end of the freshman year, of just being enthralled by, wow, look at what these kids can do together.
Yeah.
Just on a
It's
very
amazing.
basic level.
It's just amazing.
Just a very basic level. Yeah, to the point. Yeah, I mean, literally to the point where, there are moments in the show where like it almost is emotional, right? Because
absolutely it is.
Especially if you spend a lot of time around those kids and you get to know them, like you're just proud of them.
When I saw them on the fields at Bands of America, I teared up.
So one of the biggest differences, to your point, this past year was we changed circuits, like you said. So rather than participate in the 2 circuits in Arizona, we only did 1. And then we had this big trip her freshman year where we went to Hawaii to participate in the Pearl Harbor Memorial Parade, right? So that in itself, here's what I would say. The Hawaii trip was really, really cool just from a cultural learning perspective, right? New place, new culture.
Most of those kids had never traveled there before.
I had never traveled there before. That was the first time I had ever been there. It's
life-changing.
Absolutely.
And the Alamo Dome, while somewhat not impressive, is not quite as life-changing as the beaches of Waikiki.
So right. So it depends. So to your point, now my lens, maybe just like my daughter's lens, was different going into her second year, meaning that rather than just the basic, like, wow, look at what they can do. It's not that went away, but now I'm aware of what they can do. So now it's almost like I want to see more of what they can do, if that makes any sense, right? So the first year felt a little more casual, but yes, competitively, our results were pretty good. Though I will say we stuck with one particular circuit this year, and our results were probably about the same, to be honest. Like the results that we had this year were very similar.
In the second circuit, they were the same as the second circuit last year. But in the primary circuit, your results were much higher than the secondary circuit. Yeah.
So basically, to your point, so if I'm just comparing kind of apples to apples in terms of how they were competitive last year, it was about the same. The results were about the same.
So my question to you as a parent, at the end of the season, did you feel the same about the year?
Okay. So this is going to develop. So you mentioned San Antonio. Here's what I'll say. San Antonio was not Hawaii. You're right. Though San Antonio is a beautiful city, by the way. I actually appreciate San Antonio very much because, again, being from the East Coast, being from Boston, and I lived outside of Philadelphia for a long time.
And Mexican food is the bomb diggity in San Antonio.
We have plenty of Mexican food in Arizona, but it's more of the, I appreciate that San Antonio has a lot of historical culture itself, and it keeps its old buildings and its architecture. And anyway, so it was nostalgic for me in that way. And I think it stuck out for my kids who are West Coast kids who just see everything in Arizona is new and beige, and you know what I mean? Like there's no character to it whatsoever, right? So I think San Antonio as a city was cool in that way because it does have a lot of character. I do think the actual experience, though, of participating in this Bands of America super regional event was way more valuable to the activity and the learning than going to do a parade in Hawaii.
But did it feel the same? Performing at the Pearl Day Harbor Parade is coming in 61st in San Antonio.
To me, it's you're trying to accomplish two different things. So no, it did not feel the same because one is pageantry. it's patriotism and pageantry, right? And the other thing is, how are we showing our kids what they can do at a competitive level? So I guess it's two different things for me. The parade's more fun, but because there's no pressure to it.
Here's my point in asking that is that you as a parent, no one sat you down in August and said, okay, our objective outcomes for this year are to be competitively at X, Y, and Z, to be culturally at this, and to as a student at leadership in X, Y, and Z. You went back to band this second year with the same mindset of year one, but it was going to be a very, very different experience by design, not by accident.
Yeah.
Our director chose it's time for us to go play with the big dogs.
Correct.
It's time for us to go see what a 350-piece band can do in Texas.
Absolutely. So
the parent who is expecting state championship travel to Hawaii and then
that's fair
gets year two. And that was by design. If we've climbed this mountain, it's time to find a tougher mountain. Had a very different experience. Marching the same 8 to 5. Practicing the same rehearsal schedule. And here's the thing I think is really interesting is that year two that was in some ways because of weather incredibly difficult. In some ways competing against the finest bands in the world competitively was my son's year one. That's all he knows. Is 62nd of 62nd place,
right?
And I only know when it's 118 because I've never experienced 105.
Sure.
I only know coming in X place. I've never won anything.
Yeah,
and so his baseline experience is radically different than your daughter's baseline experience.
Absolutely.
And so for every parent, they not only don't understand year two is not going to be like year one, and year three is not going to be like year two, and year four, by design, not by accident.
Right.
Band directors are incredibly meticulous about planning that.
Sure.
But that your happy dream or fond, warm, fuzzy memory is someone else's cold, prickly, long, hot summer.
Well, I would say to your point, even maybe people. So luckily, I guess the difference for me is I'm a little more understanding, right? Or like, again, we've talked about multiple times how it didn't take me long to get on board with the fact that, I'm on board with the band director and what his decision is and what he wants from my program. I'm one of those people. I know not everybody is that way, right? So even people who have the same experience my daughter did or my family did in those first 2 years probably sees things very differently than I
would think 95% of band parents don't see things the way you do because 95% of band parents aren't as engaged, involved, and educated on the activity that they would start their own podcast called the Band Dad Podcast.
Okay, fair enough.
So I think what I'm trying to get at is when we're looking retrospectively at the year as parents and as the band dads, that band camp, while repetitious in nature, is a very different experience each and every year, which is why kids come back. They're learning something new through the same activities, and that we are holding the very lowest achievers, not people, achievers to the highest of standards.
Right.
And the only way to do that is to take the highest down to the lowest and lift them with them.
Sure.
Then when you wander into, the season that you think because you're playing the same football teams, you're going to the same competitions, that the lessons learned are going to be very different, sometimes better, sometimes not less better, tougher.
Gotcha.
Harder lessons to learn. It's hard to come in 61st.
Yeah.
That ain't easy.
Yeah.
And but that was by design to catapult the program to an even another level next year, which your daughter will go, oh my God, I'm a leader. I'm in charge. Look at all these new lessons. My son's going to go from this is overwhelming to I got this. And that's going to be someone's baseline for the next 4 years.
That's true. That's a good point.
That's what I think makes marching band so special is you learn new lessons by doing the same things each and every year. And they're not lessons that we associate with the curricula or the outcomes that are judged or adjudicated. Make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. And this is something that, again, that we did talk about earlier in the season as well, which I've heard the kids say the same thing. And I had a chance at the end of my daughter's freshman year to interview some upperclassmen kids for this promo video that we did. And again, just not to be too repetitive to a previous episode, but none of them talk about the results. None of them talk about the scores. They really don't. And again, we're talking about kids who have won championships. So that outgoing senior class this year, just right now, an incredibly accomplished group who did win a state championship. And I guaranteed they've had incredibly different experiences every year. But again, when I have a chance to talk to them, they don't talk about that stuff. They talk about the overall experience and the relationships that they've built and just the experience that they've had overall versus any actual measurable.
Totally agree with you. The kids have figured it out. Now, not hearkening back to our previous episode about band parents, but think about the freshman band parent who has no reference. And they assume it's all about marching, all about winning, all about left foot, all about horns up, all about notes.
Yeah.
The sophomore band parent, their only frame of reference is last year. They've had one experience.
Right.
And I don't think until your kid hits their third year that the parent, not the kids, because the director's in the classroom every day going, kids, it's about effort. It's about grit. It's about building a teamwork. But nobody's gathering the parents around going, hey, parents, it's about grit. It's about teamwork. It's about effort. It's about.
Right.
So it's not till your junior year that the parents have that aha moment of, oh, it's not about marching or band. It's about everything else.
Gotcha.
So we now end our competitive season. And I think because of those learnings, parents view competitions a little bit differently each and every year.
Sure.
All the way to your senior year when this is my daughter's last competition. This is their last show. It's their last time in uniform. Yeah, I know. Oh, believe me, I know. And I always had to remind my seniors, your last is somebody's first every year.
That's fair.
And when they would say like, you can't change that. We're seniors. And I'd say, someone's always a senior, sweetheart. Get over it.
That's a fair point.
To be continued.
To stay up to date with the Band Dads podcast, visit our website, banddadspodcast.com. Want to communicate with the Band Dads? Send an email to feedback@banddadspodcast.com. The Band Dads podcast is a 5 Deuce Media production. For more information, visit 5deucemedia.com. That's numeral 5deucemedia.com. For more information on Scott Lang leadership and solutions for music education, visit scottlang.net.